You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the October 12th, 2022 meeting of the LaPorte County Sheriff Merit Commission. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the October 12th, 2022 meeting of LaPorte County Sheriff's Department Merit Board. If you please rise for Pledge of Allegiance.
Jim, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For the record, Jim Schooley is not present. We still have a quorum, so we will proceed. Did everyone receive a copy of the minutes from last month? Are there any corrections? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve?
So approved.
Have a motion to have a second?
Second.
Motion and seconded. Any questions? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Good morning, Sheriff.
Good morning, board members. Thank you for being here today. Before we go any further, could we take a moment of silence for Long Beach police officer Tobin Babcock, who passed away unexpectedly on October 3rd? Thank you. We've all been saddened by the passing of Toby Babcock. As I mentioned, he passed away on October 3rd, very unexpectedly. He worked for the Sheriff's Office for 6 years, from 1998 to 2004. He served 4 years as a jail deputy and 2 years as a merit deputy. Toby's survived by his daughter Abigail and his son Matthew. Matthew is a Michigan City police officer. The Babcock family and the members of the Long Beach Police Department are in our thoughts and prayers. Mr. Schooley, in fact, is not here today because of the passing of Officer Babcock, because they're colleagues at the Long Beach Police Department, and they're busy with the viewing and the arrangements that are taking place. It really was a shock for a number of people here at the Sheriff's Office because Toby was a member of our family and still is a member of our law enforcement family, and just completely came out of the blue. Our calls for service decreased 7% from the month of August to the month of September. In August, we responded to 2,154 calls for service, while in September, we responded to 2,008. The number of motor vehicle crashes did decrease, which we're pleased that it went from 86 in August to 79 last month, which was an 8% reduction. The number of traffic stops decreased during that time period by 10%, and the citations also decreased by 11%. As I had mentioned last month, that is in direct relation to the number of staff members that we're missing. It's just difficult to be as proactive as we once were because we're making up for a number of missing deputies in patrol. And so we don't have as much time to be proactive and get out and run those traffic details as we were before because we're making up for those other calls. Our day shift patrol did see an 8% decrease in their call load from August to September. The afternoon shift also saw an 8% decrease in their call load. The midnight shift had a 5% decrease in their calls for service. We did respond last month to 7 calls for service at Franciscan Hospital in Michigan City, which is the same number of calls that we answered the previous 2 months. Deputy Disbrow and Sanchez are in week 10 of their academy training. Last week they were at the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy in Plainfield, where they trained in emergency vehicle operations. They also had a block of instructions and practical training from the Indiana Department of Natural Resources Conservation Officers regarding water rescue. This training is really important, especially to our recruits, because we have so many bodies of water in the county. They're scheduled to graduate on November 18th, and as a reminder, they are at the Northwest Indiana Law Enforcement Academy. Speaking of new deputies, newly hired deputies Marguerite Velasquez and Jared Buford, their first day was yesterday, October 11th, and Deputy Buford is in the audience sitting next to Sergeant Wright. We welcome him. The day was filled with human resources matters, and they were also sworn in by the clerk's office. They had some training by Sergeant Wright as well, who's our field training coordinator. They're going to be training and completing preparatory tasks prior to reporting to the academy on October 31st. As a reminder, their training is going to take place at the South Bend Regional Police Academy. We're fortunate that we got both of them in. As I mentioned, Sergeant Wright is here, and I'd like him to come forward and he can give kind of a brief overview about our newly hired deputies. Those are at the academy, and even the newest hires that started yesterday.
Thank you, Sheriff. Good morning.
Morning.
The recruits at Northwest Academy are approximately 2/3 of the way through their training at 10 weeks. It's a 16-week session. They should finish up just before Thanksgiving. We're looking forward to them coming back and going through their field training program. Their projected release date from FTO is in the early part of next year. So we've got our work cut out for us for the next several months. With Deputies Buford and Deputy Velasquez starting just yesterday. We're very, very fortunate to get them enrolled into the South Bend Academy, which speeds things up considerably. Otherwise, I'm afraid it would have taken several more months before we had an opportunity to get through Plainfield or the next session at Northwest Academy. So the option of South Bend really puts us on a fast track. With that, we got to get some things done quickly. But we're looking forward to them doing well at South Bend Academy and seeing what they have to offer for us, and we can potentially be using them in the future. They're set to graduate around February of next year, and at that point they'll come back and go through the field training program. Their scheduled projected release date should be sometime in the spring. So, thank you.
Thank you, Sergeant Wright. And as a matter of fact, speaking of the Northwest Indiana Law Enforcement Academy, I sent notice to our training coordinator, Sergeant Scott Boswell, and Sergeant Wright yesterday, I believe it was last week. The Northwest Indiana Law Enforcement Academy opened up registration applications for the next academy class. It starts after the first of the year. And as of yesterday, all slots have been taken, and they also had 10 that were on the waiting list as well. So it's very challenging to get anybody into training. And this, the fact that we, as he mentioned, got these two new hires into the South Bend Regional Police Academy was a real coup for us. We're very fortunate that we got them in so we can get them trained and have them back here and ready to go by next spring and into next summer.
Sheriff, if I can, what's the accessibility going to be to South Bend in the future? Is this something they're just running when they have a need?
Yes, that's my understanding. We don't know. I think the last time that South Bend held an academy class, Sergeant Ray, you can correct me if I'm wrong, was 2 years ago.
It's been a long time, Sheriff.
Yeah. So we don't know. It's as needed basis. Initially, as you may recall, we were only able to get one into the South Bend Academy, but then another position opened up and they called us because of our good working relationship we have, and we were able to get the second in. Otherwise, we would have had to have waited until early next spring to get anybody in anywhere. The next item on the agenda was the fact that on September 21st, it marked the 42nd anniversary of the line of duty death of Deputy Neil Thompson. We continued the tradition of meeting at the New Carlisle Cemetery at 10 a.m. that morning to mark the exact time of Deputy Thompson's death. We had a brief prayer and a time of remembrance that was led by our department chaplain, Seth Merrill. Many of us then met for fellowship and breakfast at Jenny Ray's immediately following the service. I spoke with Neil's sister, Linda Bixler, and his niece, Melissa Bixler, that morning after our breakfast and our ceremony, and told them that they were in our thoughts and prayers, and reminded them that we all met as a department that day at Neil's burial site. And they were humbled that we were so vigilant about honoring Neil and keeping his memory alive, even 42 years later. It was really an emotional conversation I had with both of them, and the family is really appreciative that we keep Neil's memory alive here, and we've not allowed time to fade his memory. And as you know, there are reminders all over the department about Neil. We don't want anyone to forget him. Many of us didn't know him. He still has a couple of colleagues that work here. Commissioner Miller worked with him as well, but at our entry doors we have pictures of him, and we also have memorabilia reflecting his life and the ultimate sacrifice that he and his family made on September 21st, 1980. The Ford Motor Company recently opened build orders for their police and special service vehicles, and we were able to get the 11 vehicles that we needed ordered through EB Ford in Goshen. It was a very small window of opportunity, so we're glad that EB Ford was so attentive to our needs and got that order placed. We did order the 9 Explorers that we needed and 2 F-150 pickup trucks. The 9 Explorers will go into patrol, and I believe one of the F-150 pickup trucks will go into patrol as well. I think Captain Smythe will be getting that, if I'm not mistaken. That'll be perfect for his Lake Marine unit patrol needs in being able to tow that boat. We have no idea when they're going to build them. We have no idea when we're going to be expecting delivery. This was the first stage. My guess is it would be sometime in the spring of 2023, may even be the summer of 2023. In June, the County Council had voted to support the ordering of the vehicles and the related equipment and directed us to return for funding once they were ordered. We are now on the October 24th agenda for the appropriation, which is not to exceed $540,000 for those vehicles. Speaking of our Marine Patrol Unit, it has concluded their patrols for the season. Their last official task was to remove the buoys from Pine Lake. Thank you to Captain Smythe for his leadership and this unit, for the leadership to the unit and for grant writing that he does. It pays the overtime and the training for those deputies who work the detail and some incidental costs as well. So we try to do it, Marine Patrol, with as little impact to our local taxpayers as possible. We're capturing state dollars and bringing them back here to LaPorte County. Captain Smythe, do you have anything that you need to add or that you'd like to address this morning regarding Marine Patrol? Okay, thank you. The Indiana Sheriff's Youth Ranch held its largest fundraiser of the year in September at the annual Sheriff Shotgun Shoot. We sent 2 teams to shoot, and one of the teams placed second for the second year in a row. The trophy should arrive within the next month. Many thousands of dollars were raised for our youth ranch, which is located in Clay County. It was a great event, and we're really pleased that our team did so well, especially considering that they were competing against a professional team. The annual Boat for the Heart 5K and 10K races will be held on Saturday, October 29th at 9 a.m. in Washington Park. To date, we have 58 members of the department and spouses registered to participate. That's a great number. We're really pleased with the amount of participants that are supporting this great initiative. We couldn't be more proud of the willingness of our deputies and staff to participate and support this great event. Our goal this year is to finish equipping police vehicles in the county with AEDs, and our goal is to provide, and keep in mind that our goal at the Sheriff's Office isn't just to provide AEDs for our sheriff's cars, but for all law enforcement throughout the county. So you'll see there's a list provided. We need 20 here at the Sheriff's Office to finish up our needs. 7 for the LaPorte Police Department, 44 for the Michigan City Police Department, 2 for the Westville Police Department, 3 for the Trail Creek Police Department, and 2 for Purdue Northwest Police. And finally, next month's meeting is Wednesday, November 10th at 9 a.m. And you'll see that the Warrants Division, Detective Bureau, and Jail Monthly reports are attached.
You going for a record today?
You got it?
Yeah, I see that, Chief. Geez, I think he's got you. Yeah. So noted, right? So, thank you. Are there any comments from the floor? Comments from the floor? Comments from the floor is closed. Ms. Mock. This is going to be a quiet one. Jim? Laura?
I just have one question. When you mentioned the enrollment at all the academies, do you look at that as a good sign that we're getting overall, not necessarily for LaPorte County, but overall for law enforcement?
I think it's a double-edged sword. Not only is it a good sign that there are people who are willing to do the job, but it's unfortunate because it's an indication that so many people are leaving this profession, or we wouldn't have to fill so many. And that's certainly the case that we're in. We'll see when we announce that we're accepting applications. We're waiting for the final vote from the county council so we can put out flyers and social media announcements that we're accepting applications with the new salary and benefit package that we're going to get as a result of this raise. We'll see. That'll be a real test as to if we can attract good qualified applicants.
All right, thank you.
Sheriff, have there been any of the deputies that resigned, reconsidered? I know there was rumor that one of them was possibly going to, but bad rumor, I guess.
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure.
To this point,
not heard anything yet. Maybe once the vote is passed and seen as believing, and they actually know that this large raise is a reality, maybe, but not yet.
Okay, thank you. Just again, want to remind all the members of the Merit Division that we are accepting letters for the Beyond the Expected Award. That's something we've given every year for 4 or 5 years now, and we want to continue that tradition of recognizing merit staff that do go beyond the expected. So if you can get that and email it to myself or Laura, we would greatly appreciate it. We want to get that wrapped up. The last I heard, we are still waiting to try to find an instructor to do the promotional training. The individual that gave it 2 years ago or a year and a half ago now is unable to perform that. So I believe the major's actively looking for someone to do that. I know by policy we're required to get dates out, but until we can get somebody, we're kind of at a standstill. But as soon as we get that taken care of and we can confirm dates, that will be announced so that everyone can start scheduling their 2023 vacations around that. Understand that today is Captain Dallas Smythe's birthday. Thank you for putting out that email to remind everybody that it was your birthday. I appreciate it.
Actually, a couple days ago, but thank you.
Oh, okay. And of course, the sheriff, we know, is looking forward to October 29th with his National Cat Day, so I'm sure that his wife and Captain Heineck will be celebrating that on social media, which is the tradition. So thank you for doing. I love that cat. It looks a lot like mine.
I'm glad that I give you something to look forward to. Your football team certainly isn't.
Whoa. Wait a minute. I think my team and your team have identical records.
We have a tougher schedule.
Oh, please. Now he's really fishing. Anyway, enough of that. So I want to thank everybody for attending today. It's not quite a standing room only, but maybe if we can tie this in with a commissioners meeting sometime, we'll get more in attendance. But thank you. Also, at our next meeting, we will know who our new sheriff will be beginning in 2023. And I want to wish Chief and Captain Heineck best of luck. I will say this, and you know, I'm pretty active in the political stream, and the two of you have conducted a very admirable campaign. It hasn't been the dirt slinging and all that that's going on in some of the other races, which in my opinion is getting kind of old, and I don't think the citizens want to hear it. They want to know what you're going to do to better if you're elected. And again, Chief, thank you for, and Captain Heineck, for keeping it above board and being professional about your campaigning this year. It means a lot. So are there any other questions or comments? Hearing none, to have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have a motion to have a second. Meeting, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned 9:20 a.m. Thank you.